Hello, all of you beautiful souls. I am back with a bit of a different view with the podcast today. We had some technical difficulties, so we're both on our phones, which is perfect and amazing. And as you all know, I'm all about the authenticity piece, and not everything needs to be completely perfect. So thank you if you're watching the YouTube video. Thank you so much for your patience. Today I have the most incredible woman that I have had the absolute pleasure to meet, sit in ceremony with, get teachings by, and have dreams with constantly. She is literally a walking angel. She is a direct portal to God, to Source, to Buddha, to the divine, to Wankatanka, Great Spirit, whatever name resonates with you, it is all perfect. And she is such an elegant grace of an angel is really the word that comes to mind. You know, it's interesting because I remember the very first time that I laid eyes on this beautiful soul. I was walking out of a ceremony hall and I was so excited to meet the shaman. And I was walking down to quickly get, I can't remember what it was, maybe my eye mask or something. And this lady in this beautiful flowing white dress with this golden blonde hair with these jewelry and crystals so big and close to her heart, just walked out, floated out. The thing is with this lady, she doesn't walk, she just floats. She's like this floating angel. She just walked out and said, "Hello, my love." And I felt this pure essence within me, this closed heart that I had just completely crack open. And I felt so seen, so held, and just so loved by the very first moment of meeting this woman. So it's my absolute pleasure to introduce to you the most beautiful Nanda. Welcome to the show, sister.
Hello, my love. Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Mm, it absolutely is. And especially after this morning's technical difficulties, after playing around for about 45 minutes, being able to just dive into today's episode is going to be really beautiful. So, what I would really love to start with, beautiful Nanda, is if you could just share a little bit about your journey, a little bit about your journey into being a shaman, because that is a part of not just what you do, but it's who you are and who you be. And just share a little bit about into what it looked like stepping into that journey for you, and yeah, allow that to flow through.
Okay. So this journey started a long time ago. The first time I heard about the medicine, I was really young. And the way that I heard was about I was doing a sleepover in a friend's house. And then I wake up in the morning and her brother was arriving like 5 a.m. And then I remember to look to him and say, what are you doing like arriving home 5 a.m.? I think I was like 8 years old, 9. And then he said, I was on an ayahuasca ceremony. And then I asked him, what is that? And then he said, it is a place that you go where your life becomes perfect. And I never forgot about that. It kept in my mind that word, ayahuasca. And then when I was around 15, a calling started in my heart. And then I went to a ceremony, my first one, I was 16. And then I had the most incredible experience of my life. I was sitting in front of the fire, and then after an incredible moment, I felt that I started to be elevated, and then I could see myself. I had glimpses of visions of myself in my knees, praying to God to allow me to have 5 minutes in the middle of the sky, in the middle of the planets, before I die. But I always asked him to allow my angel to be with me. But I had completely forgot that prayer, and I could see myself like really young doing this prayer, like 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, like throughout my life.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, so interesting, all these visions. When I realized it, I was in the middle of the universe, seeing all those planets, all those shooting stars. And then in front of me, I could see like a clock made of pink gas, marking like 5 minutes. And then this beautiful presence that was the presence of an angel, that if I can say that, I couldn't see the face, but just that incredible energy. And then when 5 minutes went past, then I was completely back in my body. And then I cried a lot. I was like, oh my God, I received this gift even before I died. But when I looked to myself, my hands, they were completely different. And my hair was long and black. And then I was like, oh my God, I wonder how is my face? And then I thought to myself, I'm going to go to the toilet. I'm going to have a look in the mirror to see how is my face. And then I went. And when I arrived and I started to look to the mirror, inside my eyes, I could see myself in a tribe, and I could see an old man laying down in my arms that I knew in that moment that was my father. And I was trying to heal him with some herbs. I had like some plants close to me. I tried to add these plants on him, these herbs, but it wasn't working. And I remember like crying a lot, saying, it doesn't work. You taught me all of this, but now that I need to make this work to help you, I can't. And then he died in my arms, and I screaming came out from me, and then I started to cry, and I felt like a huge feeling of grief. And then I was back, and then I could see myself like normal again. And then I left the toilet, and when I was walking back to the fire, the shaman was there. And when I looked to the shaman, he opened his arms and he said, welcome back, my daughter. And then I saw that was the same. And then I just started to cry. I hugged him. And then he whispered in my ears, wasn't your fault, was my time to go. But now
Mhm.
you need to come back and keep going with your teachings. And then I looked around and I said, no way, I don't want to do that, because I was like 16. And I said, I don't wanna do that. Something within me knew that it would be a really strict path.
Mm.
I had all my all my youth time in front of me. And then he just smiled and said, we will see, we will see. And then I went back to my journey, and then I went back home. And after a little while, that calling started again. And then I went back, and then the teachings started.
Mm.
Uh, this is this was how I started in the medicine path. But then so many many initiations. I sat in different places to feel what resonated with me. Because in Brazil, I'm from Brazil. And in Brazil, for us, it's really normal to, not only Brazil, but the entire South America is part of our culture. So we have a lot of places, different places that you can go and sit in ceremony. So I went in different one, but then my heart, it was always back to the shamanism. And now
Mm.
I'm 44 and I'm holding ceremony since I am 28, 26, 28. Yes, and then I moved to Australia and my path kept going.
Thank you so much for sharing that beautiful journey. You know, I had goosebumps throughout the whole time that you were sharing that because I've experienced my own deep healing with the medicine. And I could only imagine what it would have been like to have that calling at such a young age. And something that I would really love for you to share is what would be your way of explaining what ayahuasca is for people who potentially might not know what it is, and also what that calling kind of really feels like?
Okay, so ayahuasca is a teacher plant and it's made of a blend of chacruna and jagubi. Chacruna is a leaf and it is a female part of the process. And jagubi or mariri is a vine and it is the male part of the process. So we blend both of these plants together with water. And then we have the spirit of the forest inhabited on it. So when we drink this medicine, our chakras will start to open and align, and all our mediunity starts to expand. So we start to see more than you normally see with our earthly eyes. We start to hear more than you normally hear. We start to feel more than you normally feel because what happens is we're going to start to connect with all those parts of ourselves that we are not used to connect in our day-to-day life, but through our spirit, not only through our physical body. So like our physical body is like that, but we are like that. So when we drink this medicine, we're going to start to expand it through our mental body, emotional body, energetic body, spiritual body. So throughout the ceremony, the medicine will start to guide us to different aspects of us. So sometimes when you drink this medicine, the big healing will happen in your mental body, and then you can have like clear conversations with yourself, clear conversations with our ancestors, with our guides, with God, with our heart. It's like it's almost like you ask something and the answer will be there, and there is no doubt about the answer. You really feel that it is coming from the wisest part of you. Um, and sometimes the medicine will be working your emotional field. And then you're gonna go through a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings, and then it can be sometimes about healing. And then let's say that someone has a big trauma in their emotional body, so the medicine will start to uh, work on that trauma and start to release all the frequencies and emotions that your emotional body were holding. And but at the same time, many times a lot of lessons and new perspectives and understanding can come through that situation at the same time. So while you are releasing those emotions, at the same time you are gaining awareness about why your soul went through that situation.
Mm.
So I have a really beautiful story that happened that can talk about a lot about our emotional body. We were in the middle of the ceremony, and then a lady called me, and she said, "Nanda, I don't know what is happening, but I am full of sadness. And when I arrived here, I wasn't feeling that, and I don't know where the sadness is coming from." And then I did a process on her, and then she realized that sadness started when she was 4 years old. And then she looked to me and she said, "Nanda, I know now I can remember where the sadness started." And then I told her, "Okay, so now that you can recognize, go to your soul and ask it why your soul wanted or chose to go to that specific situation." And then she said, "Okay, I'm gonna do that." And then after 1 hour, she called me again and she said, "Nanda, I understood everything. I understood why my soul chose that. I could forgive everyone around that situation. I asked Mother Ayahuasca to show me my previous life so I could understand why in this life I chose to go through something so traumatic as a child. But so about this, I'm completely fine now. But even that I understood, I still feel all the sadness. What should I do?" And when I looked to her, I could see all those frequencies of sadness being released since her uterus into like her physical body and then mental body, emotional body. So all the frequencies they were being released. And then I told her, "Just sit with this sadness and allow the
Mm.
medicine to release everything." Because ayahuasca is not entertainment; it is a sacred medicine. And for many times, we need to allow the medicine to work through us. And then she said, "Okay, I'm going to sit with it." And then at the end of the ceremony, everybody was sharing amazing things. And when it was her turn to share, she said, "I'm really disappointed, really frustrated. I came here because I thought I would be in the middle of the universe, seeing my guides, contacting my grandmother. But
Mm.
I went to a huge feeling of sadness, and I'm still sad. But I really want to come back soon because I want to feel what all people felt." And then I told her, "Wait 1 week. A lot of things can happen in 1 week." And then she said, "Okay, I'm going to do that." And then 1 week later, she called me and she said, "Nanda, you don't believe." And I said, "What?" And she said, "I used to cry every night since I was. Even my honeymoon, I cried every night. But since the ceremony, I didn't cry anymore." And she said, "And more than that, I am married for 8, 10 years. And after the ceremony was the first time that I felt pleasure in my body with my husband."
Wow.
And the reason is her body, for our subconscious mind, there is no discernment about past and present. So everything that happened in our past, our body and our subconscious mind is trying to protect us. So if as a child she went through situations like abuse, that was her case, for her subconscious mind, love uh, was the same as pain. So she was trying to protect all the time. And her body was always expecting something bad to happen. That's why she was crying without know why. But after she went through all that release, after she understood why her soul chose that, her body was completely safe and free to allow herself to accept love in a safe way, of course. So when it's about emotions, we can spend a lifetime trapped in our own point of view that in a certain way although it's completely understandable, even more when something so painful, but it is a limited perspective. And when we are in ceremony, the medicine is always showing us the highest perspective. So it's not a situation that we judge through our personality on earth, but it is a situation where we can understand through our soul perspective. And then everything changes. And then sometimes the medicine will work through visions, not always, but many times when you close your eyes, a lot of visions can happen as well. And then the medicine can create like an entire poetry to allow you to know the message that your soul wants to give to you. Sometimes you can go through ancestral healing as well if your ancestor went through situations that can interfere in your day-to-day life here on earth, because many times it is interfering. So sometimes the medicine will go through an ancestor healing, sometimes about energetic healing. So every time we sit in ceremony, we're gonna have a glimpse of what is happening in our inner universe. And ayahuasca will always guide us back to our essence. We'll always speak the truth. Before ayahuasca, before one thing that I really feel with ayahuasca is she comes the truth before the kindness. She's always maternal.
Mm.
There is a lot of love, but the truth will be delivered. And depend how is your relationship with yourself. If you talk to yourself in a really beautiful way, she will find a way to deliver the message in that way. But if you're a person that you are really hard with yourself, then when you are going through the filter of understanding the medicine, you can have like tough love, you know.
Mm. Do you feel that Mama Ayahuasca delivers to you the messages in a way that you are able to actually receive that information? Like with what you've just said, in terms of if you speak to yourself with a lot of love and kindness, then Mother Ayahuasca will come in and will give you that love and kindness. Whereas if you're speaking to yourself and others in a way that may not be that way, then she will deliver it in that way, but not as a way to say, here's a taste of your own medicine, but here's because this is what you deliver. So this is what you will internally, subconsciously actually understand.
What I feel is like sometimes you can take 10 years to understand a journey, uh, but definitely, I'm going to give an example. I had a girl that she went to the ceremony, and at the end of the ceremony, she told me, Nanda, I don't think ayahuasca likes me. And then I said, it's impossible. Why are you saying that? And then she said, because she was so rude with me. She was like, every time she was like really tough, and the way she spoke with me. And when I couldn't understand, she was like, don't be stupid, don't be stupid. And then I know that this is not the nature of this medicine at all. And then I asked her, how do you used to talk with yourself? And then she started to cry. She said, in the same way. Every day, when I do something wrong, I tell to myself, don't be stupid, don't be stupid. Then I said, okay, so it was the way of ayahuasca tell you what is the big problem about communication. And then I told her, so throughout your integration, try to be your best friend, try to be gentle with yourself, be like you would be with your best friend if they are going through some hardship. And then she said, okay, I'm going to do that. And then she came back after a few months. And then at the end of the ceremony, she said, I never felt someone loving me more than Madre Ayahuasca. And then I asked her, how is your relationship with herself? And she said, change it completely. So, and ayahuasca needs as well. So the spiritual world, in order to talk with us, it will access our knowledge. So depend the books that we read, the knowledge that we surround ourselves, the medicine will find a way to deliver the message to us. I remember that I had a young boy coming to the ceremony, and then everything that he saw in the journey was through the Minecraft.
Mm.
Ayahuasca explained to him about the cycle of life, about parallel lives, about how we choose our family in this life, what happened when you are going back to the source, and everything was through the Minecraft visions. And then at the end, he was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool!" And then he asked ayahuasca, does everybody sees you like I'm seeing? Everybody can see all those visions? And then ayahuasca said, I'm glad you asked me. And the answer is no. I talked with you like that and I showed all those visions for you through this because unfortunately, the only thing that you are doing in your life is to play video game. So all your knowledge or everything that you surround yourself is related to that. So it was the only way I could connect with you. But if you wanna, my personal opinion, turn off the video game and go and connect with your parents because soon everything will change and you're going to regret a lot. So go and live your life fully. So,
So powerful. I've sat with Mama Ayahuasca quite a few times in ceremony with you. I won't sit with anyone else. I don't feel safe enough. It's the safety that you provide within the space. And I can say for firsthand that the journeys are always so different. They're always delivered in a way that is a state of receiving. And there is always such a higher purpose and a higher meaning behind everything. And the intelligence of this medicine is beyond what any human mind could possibly even fathom or even begin to understand. Yeah, it's really profound. What would you say to someone who feels that they are having a calling or having like an urge to sit with the medicine? What would be a piece of advice that you would give?
I, I would say for them to go with all their heart, with an open heart,
Mm.
and to have an intention without expectation, for them to prepare themselves in a good way with the diet. So there are specific things that um, if you can prepare your physical body and emotional body before go to the ceremony, you can have a higher experience as well. For them to research about a place that uh, they know that the shaman is someone that had all the study and preparation, that know how to prepare the field, how to go with them in the ceremony, uh, and for them to know that it is not. Sometimes ayahuasca can change your life completely in one journey, but usually it's not like that. Usually, it is a relationship that you create with the medicine. You know, every time you go, you're gonna have a little bit of understanding about the path you are walking. How can you be a better person? How can you be a better mother? So it's a moment you can self-reflect in your life to bring you back to your essence that's so well needed in these times that we live where most of people they wake up, they go to work, they go to gym, they go back home and they watch TV and they sleep and then everything again. uh,
Mm.
so I definitely think that ayahuasca is an incredible tool, is a divine tool for helping you to deal with situations. And it's not only about healing as well, because sometimes ayahuasca will be about healing, but sometimes it will be about new understanding about life, new directions that your soul wants to take, but your mind is not allowing you, because our mind is always in the survival mode, thinking about everything that can go wrong.
Mm.
So I think that's a really, really beautiful thing to do, at least once in the
Mhm.
life.
Yeah, absolutely second that. Yeah, I've sat with Mama Ayahuasca quite a few times, and her medicine was just, she's changed my life. Absolutely changed my life in so many ways. I remember one ceremony that I had. I had a divine connection with my soul, and my soul just said, "What are you doing? You're on the wrong. You're not on the right path. You know you need to. You're a shaman. You need to be doing this work." And I freaked out, and I was like, "I'm not a shaman." And then, because I was specifically like denying my soul's path and my purpose, my journey got quite hard, got really hard. And Mama Ayahuasca just kept taking things away from me. She took my children, took life, everything. It dissolved everything, and I became empty with complete nothingness. And I remember I said to you the next day, I was like, I don't want to do the last ceremony. I'm depressed now. I feel empty. I have nothing left. Nothing is real. Everything I've ever known is not real. And, I was like, she told me that I'm a shaman. I don't want to do this. Like, I'm not a shaman. And, you were able to explain to me that, everyone wants to see, and this is a huge piece of information that's stuck with me ever since, is that everyone wants to see what's beyond the veil and what's really real. But you must lose your mind in order to gain access to your soul. Your soul is going to tell you what's truth and what is really real for you. And you said to me, Mama Ayahuasca will rebuild you. She's taken everything away so you can, it's a complete cellular upgrade, like an initiation. You said it was. Oh, she initiated you. This was the depletion before the rebuild. It's like when you knock down an old building, you completely demolish it from the cell, the structural level, everything, the energetic level. It's completely gone down, but then you rebuild it and it becomes this beautiful, gorgeous space that you never know was available. And that's exactly what happened on my next journey. But since that moment, because something you also had said to me was, you explained, in your terms, what a shaman actually means, because the shaman has a whole vast variety of meanings, right? Like, now I class myself as a shaman in training. I do shamanic work. It just comes so naturally to me. Spirit just works through me. I don't even know what I'm doing half the time. All I know that it is unconditional love, and it is fully love, and in the presence of the higher good. But something that you had said was, the shaman is a teacher. It means enlightened one that understands that we are all interconnected, and we are all energy, light, love, having a human experience. And I went, well, maybe I can do this shaman thing. And since then, it's been like my whole life has just completely flipped upside down in the most purest, beautiful way. That, I wake up every day now and I'm excited to be alive. I'm excited to run downstairs and do a little dance or jump into meditation. I'm excited to touch the trees and little spiders that crawl all over me that I used to have complete fear of. I'm excited for all of this love and this beauty that's available. And I know that there is no way in this life, in my life, that I would have been able to get where I am today, without the use of this intelligence and this great teacher. And people like yourself who have gone through the years, the 10 years of training and initiations and processes to be able to deliver the medicine in a safe way, and to be able to hold the space in such a divine way. I would love to. I would love if you would share anything that's real on your heart that you feel, because I know when you shared in some of the ceremonies about some of the things that you had to experience to be able to become a shaman. I feel that that would be really powerful to so people can really understand that, you know, being a shaman in terms of serving plant medicine, just how important it is to be able to choose the right shaman, and to be able to experience the medicine.
Yes, yeah, it's a really good point that you said, because a lot of people they confuse, they connect shaman with ayahuasca, and just few shamans they work with ayahuasca. Um, Almost all the tribes they have the shaman, the one that can permeate. Now, so what is the difference? What a shaman can do? The shaman they can work through worlds. So they can permeate both the physical world and the spiritual world. So in order for us to receive all the teachings, we need to learn how to relocate, how to open portals, how to, that's really important when you hold a ceremony. Otherwise, any spirit can be there. We need to discern when is an entity, when it is an ancestor, when it is a fragment from that person from a different life, when is a new soul that wants to come through that lineage. So throughout the initiations, your shaman starts to open you to access that teaching, that learning. So there is so many initiations that, let me see one that I can share. There is one that you go through all the elementals, so water, fire. So for 1 year, you keep in that teaching. So let's say the water, and then at the end, you need to be within ayahuasca bath, if I can say that, like a bath of ayahuasca, drinking 1 liter of ayahuasca to be able to go beyond your mind and to start to understand the role of the water here on earth. Uh, you have the one that is about the wind, that you have to dissipate the weather, how to walk, uh, how to, the name in English, shape.
Shape shift.
Yeah. So I remember the one that I was in the wind, that I was like, okay, so what I'm gonna choose? And then I chose to shapeshift in an eagle. And then I had the son of this shaman that I was working, and I was flying in my ceremony, and I looked to my side. He was there as well, and we were talking, and we were like having deep conversations. And when we were back, our shaman was in front of us, and then he started to talk everything that we talked while we were in our own experience. So, and then he gave us a big lesson about that specific situation. And then there are times where they will teach you how to interfere in a journey. So if someone is going through a really hard process, the shaman needs to go there and then help the person to be back, or help the person to receive the lesson without being trapped in that place. Or sometimes, like a few ceremonies ago, there was a guy that he was really struggle, and when I was passing close to him, I could see a huge knife in his back. Uh, we call like a spiritual device. Let's say that someone, you know, when someone felt like betrayed, and it's like I felt like that someone stabbed my heart. So when a feeling really huge comes to us, we can have an energetically weapon within our spiritual body. So I saw one like that in his back, and I went there and I took, because I saw that was a perfect knife. But after I took that, he looked to me and he said, that knife was with me for three different lives when someone stabbed in me and I died. But I couldn't forgive uh, the person. And now when you were releasing it, because I kept saying to him, you have to forgive. You need to accept. And then he said, when I was telling that, his soul told him, you chose that. Was a consequence and not an act. You did something before. And then he allowed that person in the spiritual world to be free again. So when we go through all those initiations, we are able to journey with the person, if I can say. Uh, but there is as well the way of a shaman, the path of a shaman, that I think is more related when you live life knowing about all the interconnective of life. You know, when we know that there is a higher plan happening all the time, when we embrace forgiveness, no judgment, humbleness, all these teachings that we learn in our initiations. I think when we live life with this, like embracing duality but not being trapped on it, when we nurture ourselves with the lessons that nature gives us all the time, then you are walking the path of a shaman, but without work with the medicine. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, with us. Because you don't just work with ayahuasca as well. You work with other plant medicines as well. Is that correct?
I work with a lot with the subconscious mind. I don't work with other plant medicine. I work with rapé as well and sananga in ceremony. But I work a lot with quantum modality, because for me, my biggest calling it is to help people to connect with God, with the divine source, uh, in a way that is different from we learning religion. Like we have to fear God. Like when we think that God is a man in the sky, with human uh, qualities. When I was able to feel God, because I think we see God all the time, because we just need to open our eyes and everything is God, isn't it? Everything is this pure molecule, divine molecule.
Mm.
But you that I really wish for everyone is to create deep connection with the Great Spirit, because when we surrender ourselves to the magic that is to be a creation from the Great Spirit, our lives change completely. There are no fears. We can be disappointed because our earthly um, what you wanted is not what you are receiving. So, we can be, I would love to have that. But at the same time, there is a lot of honor and respect by what life is bringing to us. So I think that when we are connected with God, with the Great Spirit, in the real way, but in a way that there is no judgment, there is a full surrender, then everything changes. And this is what I lost. So I feel that ayahuasca does that, but a lot of other techniques can help us to feel and experience that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to express as well with what you just said, that there are a lot of other modalities that can help to feel that expression as well, because it's not limited to just plant medicines. Not everyone in this lifetime is ready or wanting to go as deep as that. Like I know for myself, some breathwork sessions have taken me to really profound levels of altered state of consciousness and trauma release, that has been like some gentle ayahuasca ceremonies as well. But yeah, so I feel that that's really important to express. Something that I would really love for you to share, beautiful, beautiful Nanda, is can you explain from your point of view the understanding of Great Spirit and Tankashila? So the divine, yeah. Can you explain what those two mean, if you're embodied, or you're able to bring that to English, because I know English is not your first language, as you said.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of different names to call Great Spirit or Kantankan. But what I feel is that God is not a man in the sky with a big beard judging us all the time, telling us what to do, what not to do. And I feel that God is not an energy outside us, guiding us all the time. But I feel God is every molecule of this reality. And we are made of this divine molecule. Our family is made of this divine molecule. Our clothes, our dreams, everything is made of this divine molecule, full of conscience, full of awareness. And I think we are like a cluster of this divine molecule representing one aspect of the divinity. And one day we all gonna go back and immerse with the Great Spirit again. But I think that in each time, and depend of the culture, people they will have their own filters, their own perspective about God, about Great Spirit. And what I feel that's really beautiful because it's all true. Isn't it so true? Each person is seeing a little bit of it. We come to Earth with this limited perspective, but each person and each religion can have a glimpse of the Great Spirit. Of course, we go through the filter about how we perceive things, situations, like there are religion that they ask you to fear God because if you don't do what God wants, you're going to be punished. So all those things, I believe that is only a misunderstanding that person received it when they were trying to connect. So those things I don't believe, but I feel that each one of us, we are having a glimpse of the Great Spirit.
Mm. Something that you said once that really, really opened me up to receive, and I've learned quite a lot in shamanism now, is God is having a human experience through each and every one of us. It doesn't matter how big or how, quotation marks, small our voice is or within our journey, or whether we're making an impact within just ourselves, or whether we're making an impact in our family, or whether we're making an impact in the millions of followers on Instagram. It doesn't matter how much of an impact that you're making, because God is having that experience through each and every one of us.
Yes, how beautiful is that? We are the vessel where the Great Spirit can experience itself here on earth, isn't it? And I think that I completely agree. It doesn't matter if someone is here to change the entire reality by creating something so big that will change everything, or if someone decides to spend the entire life under a tree. For God is the same, because it is experience everything all the time, and I think that God has no plan to us. I feel that God is pure allowance, but our soul has a plan. Our soul wants to achieve things, and to I believe that every time we come to Earth, uh, we decided to experience one aspect of the Great Spirit. So some people, they want to experience the aspect of forgiveness, or the aspect of creativity, or the aspect of healing. So when or compassion. So let's say Madre Teresa de Calcutta, probably she wanted to experience what forgiveness, what compassion was about. So in order for her to experience that virtue, she decided to be born in India, in a place, in a city where everything was really miserable, when there was a lot of disease. Um, so in that environment, she could be completely immersed on the virtue of compassion. And then her story goes uh, through that virtue. Because imagine if she decided to be born here in Byron Bay, in an incredible family, in front of the ocean, in a beautiful house. All of us, we feel compassion. Is a natural part of the human being. But to be immersed on that virtue is different. So I believe that every time we come to Earth, we choose one aspect of the light that we want to master in this life.
Yeah, there's such wise words. Thank you so much for sharing that. Um, one of my soul's purpose, main mission in this lifetime is to experience deep, profound compassion, as well as profound levels of spiritual growth. And I got a natal chart reading done by our beautiful dear friend Cam. She's incredible. I've had her on the podcast actually before I got a natal chart reading done by her. But something that, yeah, she had made aware of me was that compassion was one of the biggest aspects as to why I chose the life that I chose. And, that's really huge, because I share my journey on this podcast. I've shared it in many platforms, but with the amount of trauma that I experienced from even as a baby, let alone, growing up into so many different aspects of just this years and years and years and years worth of different aspects of trauma, to really understand, to get to the place where to understand that all of those men and people and mom and dad and all of those people that had really deeply hurt me as a child, that, was innocent and that didn't deserve it, absolutely. But to be able to develop the compassion, true depth of compassion, I I chose to go through such a hard and challenging childhood to be able to then come out the other side and do the inner work and do the releasing that was needed to be released. So I could then look at all of these situations and all of these people and just drop completely into my heart and know that these people are just souls, that it's not who they truly are. It's just they've got lost in the human experience in Earth School, which is the hardest school to be at, right? And yeah, so to really understand that deep compassion and really to develop the true essence of what compassion actually is, you must, there's the shadow aspect to that. So, yeah, so profound. So, so profound. Something I actually want to share with you as we start to wrap up. This has been incredible. Oh my gosh. I have to get you back on again, and we'll have to dive deeper. You're just so beautiful with story, and your wisdom is beyond the human years, my beautiful soul sister. But something I actually wanted to share, and I haven't had the opportunity to tell you this, but 2 nights ago, I had this incredible, so not last night, the night before, I had this incredible, vivid dream that you and I, Nanda, were like souls that were experiencing the earth, and moving we were moving wormholes in certain aspects of the earth, and it was allowing this like dynamic and shift and this upgrade to happen for the earth. And it was, I can't remember the countries, I have no idea, but anyway, we were like moving these shifts in this wormhole, and then I was then sucked through really gently and gracefully through the earth's wormhole and shot up into the spirit realm. And I then just completely dissolved and became spirit. And it was a remembering of the time when I came to Earth and in other incarnations where I had left Earth. It was the same portal, was the same wormhole that I'd remembered. And then something had woken me up. So within that moment, I then shot straight back through my body, and I woke up and I physically felt my soul or my spirit enter straight back into my body, and I got the biggest cramp in my calf, and it shot all the way up through my leg, all the way up through my hamstring. I couldn't move, and I just woke up and I was like giving myself healing and Reiki. And I was like, whoa, okay. And then I felt into it. And this was when I was doing shamanic healing over the weekend with so many beautiful souls. And I had one foot in the spirit world and one foot in the physical world. And all of this magic was moving through me. But then I looked it up and what the meaning was. And it was, that shift and vibrational upgrade of being in the spirit world. And how remarkable was that, right?
Wow, incredible, incredible. So when
Yeah.
our soul goes and do the work outside our physical body.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've had moments of little things happening like that before, especially through childhood, but this was completely out of this world. It was like I'd just been completely thrown into spirit. It was, yeah, really magical. I wanted to share that with you because I knew that would, wow, you're in my dream again.
I love it, that.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on this podcast, because I know time is so valuable. Or what is time? But your time is so valuable because you fly all over the country, everywhere to gift people the medicine, these beautiful experiences from Brazil, which is coming up in November, which I'm coming. Yes, I'm going. I'm coming. I'm so excited again. So it's a huge, huge process. And I know that you have a beautiful family and children of your own and a husband. So I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to be here and to be on this podcast. But before we do wrap up, I would absolutely love if you could share one of your stories, one of your beautiful stories with us to, yeah, to finish up, sister.
Ah, that's so beautiful. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be in your presence always. Okay, let's think on a story. There's a really beautiful one that I like. Um, it is like that. Once upon a time, um, once upon a time, there was a king who had everything he could ever ask for. All the wealth, all the people. He had a really beautiful kingdom, but there was only one thing he couldn't have, and it was a question for his biggest question. And he tried for many many years to bring to his castle the most wise people, astrologer, masters, priests, but no one could answer his biggest question. But one day he heard a rumor from his people about a really wise man that arrived in a village 2 days far from him. So that night he called all his knights and he said, tomorrow morning we're gonna go and we're gonna find this wise man because I'm feeling that he will be the to answer my question. So the next morning they left, and after 2 days they arrived in a small village. So one of the night started to knock on the doors to find where the wise man was, and then he found out where he was, and then he started to talk with this wise man and explain to him that the king was there to talk with him, and the wise man was more than happy to receive the king. So he invited the king to enter in the house. And when the king saw that tiny little man with those bright eyes, his heart knew that he had the answer. And then the king said, I am here because since I am a young boy, I'm this here searching for my biggest question. And my question is, who is God? Where is God? What is God? And then the old man smiled and he said, let's go outside. Today is a beautiful night. Let's walk in the garden. And then they went outside, and the wise man said, look, how beautiful is the cypress in the garden. It's smelling so good and so green. And the king looked at the cypress and he said, yes, actually, it's a really beautiful cypress. And then the wise man kept walking and he looked above and he said, look these clouds, how they come and go. How beautiful is that? And today is a full moon. Can you see the full moon? And then the king said, yes, it's a beautiful night with a beautiful full moon, but can you tell me where is God? Who is God? What is God? And then the wise man smiled and said, can you see the reflection of the moonrise, the moonlight in the lake? And he said, yes. And then he started to get a little bit anxious. And he said, everything is beautiful. The moon is beautiful. The lake is beautiful. The cycle is beautiful. But can you tell me, where is God? And then the wise man smiled once more. He looked and he said, can you see the full moon and how beautiful it is? And then he started to go back uh, to the house. And in that moment, one of the knights fell on his knees and he started to cry and cry and laugh because he finally understood what the wise man was trying to tell to the king, that God is in everywhere, that God is everything, and that God is in everyone. And the legends say that that man never stopped to cry and laugh in awe with life by recognizing that the divinity was living through everyone around him. And this is the story of this earthly reality on earth. That God is not a man in the sky that you need to search. We can close our eyes and find God within, yes, we do, but we can open our eyes and realize that God is every molecule of this reality, and we are surrounded by this divine molecule. So the illusion of that we can be alone in this reality dissipates completely. The illusion of separation dissipates completely when you are able to understand that God is in everything, in everywhere.
Thank you so much for sharing. It brings me to tears. It's just so beautiful. It's so true and so divine. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much for sharing that, sister. Mm.
Thank you, and I hope that you can walk our life with the divine presence with you. I always say to people in the end of the ceremony that nowadays a lot of people they talk about how is well needed for us to live in the present moment. But I feel that there is a next level of being the present moment. And it is to be present with the divine presence within us, to talk through the divine presence, to work through the divine presence, and to have a conversation through the divine presence. I think that when we gain this awareness that within us, our soul is completely manifested and connected and filled with the divine presence, there is no way we can do anything that is not good in this life. So I wish you that you can walk with the divine presence every day of our lives.
What a gift. What a gift that you can give to me and to everyone listening to this. What a divine gift. Oh. To all of those listening, see, I told you she was a walking angel. She's even the voice of a walking angel. Thank you so, so much, sister. Where can my followers find you?
Uh, can be through the Instagram, Nanda da Rosa Sacred Expansion, or we have the Epic Journey as well. Epic Journey is all about all the retreats that we go around the world.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'll be sure that I post all of those links in the show notes below as well. And again, thank you so much for coming on this podcast, you beautiful, beautiful walking angel. I feel so honored to be sharing this lifetime, this incarnation with you and with everybody else around as well, but especially in this moment right now, being the awareness of divine awareness. You are just a gift, and thank you so very much. Mwah.
Thank you, my love.